as Tinuke crawled through the forest floor. Her voice pierced the silence. Obalende! Obalende! The agony you've inflicted upon me will return to haunt you. By rejecting your own son, you shall never be blessed with a male heir. Your lineage will fade with no successor to carry on your name. Your quest for a son shall be vain. Long ago, in the heart of the village of Owo, resided a spirited lad named Obalende. He was the cherished only son of Adejare Balogun, the esteemed king of Owo. Among his siblings, 4 in all, Obalende stood as the sole male, thus securing his destiny as the rightful heir to the throne. As Obalende blossomed into adolescence, his charisma was matched only by his penchant for the company of women. He pursued maidens with unwavering fervor, regardless of their stature or appearance, be they tall, short, slender, or chubby. Obalende's pursuit earned him a notorious reputation, casting a shadow of dishonor upon the esteemed halls of the king's abode. King Adejare found himself grappling with the magnitude of shame Obalende's actions threatened to cast upon the kingdom. Regret lingered in his heart, lamenting the absence of an alternative heir. He would have gladly passed the mantle of rulership to another son, had fate granted him one. Despite repeated admonitions and pleas for rectitude, Obalende remained steadfast in his refusal to heed to his father's counsel. Repeatedly, the king admonished Obalende, imploring him to abandon his unrefined pursuits, but the heedless youth remained impervious to his father's counsel. This continued until Obalende started befriending Tinuke, a charming fair maiden. Tinuke adored Obalende deeply, but he didn't share the same feelings for her. Obalende was merely enjoying himself, as he was also flirting with other girls at the time. As time passed, Tinuke discovered she was pregnant. Overjoyed, she rushed to share the news with Obalende, hoping he would marry her once he heard of it. What? Pregnant? No, Tinuke, that can't be right. What do you mean you can't find your period? Search wherever you may have misplaced it. I can't be held responsible for that. Oba, Tinuke exclaimed, her voice becoming weak by his utterances. Oh, you think I don't know? Haven't I seen you with Alade, one of the palace guys, and Wale, the palm tapper? But you know Alade is my cousin, and Wale is a family friend. You're the only one who has befriended me, Obalende. You're the only man I've known, and you know this. Obalende, you were the one who took my innocence. Oh, stop it! Are you the first person to experience that? Were you planned to keep that innocence forever? Obalende. Tinuke's voice trembled, tears streaming down from her face. What I'm trying to say is that you promised me marriage, I was scared of getting pregnant, but you assured me not to worry, that you would marry me if it happened. I thought this was supposed to be a good news, the beginning of a new chapter for us. Look, Tinuke, or whatever you call yourself, you can't just wake up one morning and expect me to accept a pregnancy. I never knew you were one of those desperate maidens who would do anything to become the prince's wife. Get rid of that baby and get rid of yourself. I don't want to see you ever again. Obalende's voice was firm as he turned to leave. Tinuke watched him as he leaves, unable to believe this was the man who claimed to love her. What we should do now? She was only a poor orphan living with her uncle, Alade's father. Tinuke couldn't bear the thought of telling her uncle about her predicament, and the idea of being ridiculed by the other maidens made her decide to flee the village. 23 years later, Obalende ascended to the throne of Owo. Following the passing of his beloved and valiant father, King Adejare Idowu, Obalende now had a lovely family, comprising his wife Yemi and their 4 daughters. He appeared to have undergone a transformation, perhaps due to the uneasiness that comes with wearing the crown. However, Obalende harbored concerns. He lacked a son to succeed him, a worry that gnawed at him incessantly. This drove him to take more wives in the hope of having a male heir. Blessed with both looks and wealth, King Oba found no shortage of prospective brides. Yet despite marrying 3 additional wives, only daughters graced his household. In a bid to remedy this, Obalende took Wura as his 5th wife. Wura, a widow of the late village hunter Sanya, bore 5 sons for her late husband. King Oba clung to the belief that marrying her would grant him the son he longed for. However, astonishment swept through the kingdom when Wura delivered twin girls. Furious, Oba contemplated expelling her from the palace, but the village elders interceded on her behalf. It's not her fault, asserted Chief Lamidi. It's the gods that gives one a child. Indeed, agreed Chief Balungu. Why cast out the twins when your own blood runs through their veins? Let us beseech the gods to bless the royal family with a male heir, proposed another elder. King Obalende now had 18 daughters, and yet no son to carry on his legacy. We must seek the guidance of the gods. The situation feels beyond the ordinary, Chief Ayo declared, his words resonating with the assembled chiefs. Iku Sheka, the Ifa priestess, was summoned to determine if the king's wives were truly cursed. After communing with the gods, Iku Sheka revealed that King Obalende himself was the cause of his predicament. The gods bestowed upon you an heir long ago, but you rejected this blessing. You denied the one who was meant to succeed you, she proclaimed, her voice carrying the weight of divine judgment. All eyes turned to King Obalende, their expressions a mix of expectation and apprehension. His past reputation as a reckless and promiscuous youth preceded him. King Obalende furrowed his brow, struggling to recollect his past deeds and their consequences. Suddenly, realization dawned upon him. "Atinuke!" he exclaimed, his voice tinged with disbelief. "Tinuke had a son for me?" he muttered, his mind racing to piece together fragments of memories long buried. "Not just a son, but your rightful successor," Ikusheka confirmed, her words cutting through the tense atmosphere like a sharp blade. "The gods chose him from the moment of his conception, yet you cast him aside along with his mother. Out of the pain you inflicted her, she cursed you as well." Obalende! Obalende! The agony you've inflicted upon me will return to haunt you. By rejecting your own son, you shall never be blessed with a male heir. Your lineage will fade, with no successor to carry on your name. Your quest for a son shall be in vain, vain. Tears streamed down Obalende's face as he knelt before the priestess, his chiefs joining him in supplication. "How can we find Tinuke and her son?" they pleaded with Ikusheka. She replied, "I cannot pinpoint her exact location, but I sense dense bushes and darkness." "She could be in the forest," Chief Lamidi suggested, his gaze scanning the horizon as if searching for clues amidst the shadows. "Which of the forests could she be?" asked Chief Ayo, as the people of Owo was surrounded by many thick forests. "Why not we summon her cousin Alade? He may know something about her," replied Chief Balogu. The king immediately summoned Alade, one of the palace guard, and asked if he knows about Tinuke whereabouts. "The last time we spoke, Your Majesty, she was pregnant and mentioned heading to Aginjun Forest," Alade recalled. Determined, the king ordered Alade to search Aginjun Forest and ensure Tinuke's safe return. After hours of trekking and searching, exhaustion gnawed at Alade and hunger clawed at his stomach. Spotting a mango tree in the distance, he staggered towards it. Suddenly, a bear lunged from behind, attacking him. Amid the struggle for survival, a gunshot pierced the air. The bear froze, collapsing to the ground as a young boy emerged holding a gun. Alade's eyes locked onto the boy as he struggled to rise. "Thank you for saving my life," he managed to say. "You're welcome," the boy replied. "It's dangerous to wander alone in Agiju Forest. It's teeming with wild animals. I was sent on a mission by my king. I'm not to return until it's completed," Alade explained. "Rest here. My hut is nearby. You can continue your mission at dawn," the boy offered, binding Alade's wounded left arm. Blood seeped from the injury sustained during the bear encounter. Silently, they trekked through the forest, Alade's right hand resting on the boy's shoulder. Finally, they arrived at a humble hut where an elderly man sharpened his cutlass outside. "Good evening, Baba," the young boy greeted as he moved closer to Pa Akambi with Alade. "Bayo, my son, you are welcome," Akambi replied, his voice warm and inviting. "Baba, I found him in the forest while I was hunting. he was attacked by a bear. Bayo, the young boy, informed the old man, his eyes wide with excitement. "Oh, that is so thoughtful of you to have helped him," the old man replied, his wrinkled face breaking into a smile. Bayo laid Alade down on a mat while Pa Akambi mixed some herbs to treat his wound. "So what mission brought you to the forest?" Bayo asked Alade, his curiosity piqued. "My king is in search of his son and the mother, who was said to have sought refuge in the forest," Alade explained. "But why would they seek refuge in the forest?" Akambi inquired. Alade narrated to them how Obalende had rejected Tinuke's pregnancy, and out of shame she had fled into the forest. Pa Akambi and Bayo exchanged glances as Alade continued his tale. "The king seeks a male child to succeed him and bear his name, as none of his 5 wives could bear him a male child," Alade added. Pa Akambi asked Alade for the maiden's name. As soon as Alade mentioned Tinuke's name, Bayo rushed inside and grabbed a cutlass, ready to attack Alade. Pa quickly intervened, blocking his path. "Get out! Leave this place now!" Bayo screamed, his voice filled with rage as Akambi struggled to calm him down. Alade, confused by the sudden outburst, turned to Akambi for an explanation. Akambi took a deep breath before speaking. "Alade, this maiden you were talking about, can you describe her? How does she look?" "She has a fair skin and a slender figure," Alade replied. That is Bayo's mother." "What?" Alade exclaimed, his mouth hanging open in disbelief. "Yes, ever since Bayo has been here, for over 20 years, not a single person came to seek him out. Tinuke even told me that her cousin would come to find her, but until her death, we never saw anyone." "What? You mean Tinuke is dead?" Alade's voice quivered with sorrow. "Ah, Tinuke, I'm sorry for neglecting you all this while. Baba, I was the cousin who promised to come look for her, but I never did. I'm sorry. Please beg Bayo to forgive me." "Well, you need to give him time to heal. I can't talk to him now," Akambi replied, his tone sombre. "What happened to my cousin?" Alade inquired, his heart heavy with guilt. "Tinuke fell ill when Bayo was 10. She couldn't survive the terrible illness that befell her. She lost a lot of weight even before she died," Akambi explained, his voice filled with sorrow. "How did you meet her?" "I found her in the forest when she was in labor, crawling in pain on the forest floor. Her groans reached me from my hut here, and so I ran to check who it was." Sighed Alade. "So what do I tell my king?" "Tell him the maiden is dead, but the son is not willing to associate with him." When this news reached the king, he cried like a baby. He never thought his past actions would catch up with him someday. He pleaded with Alade to take him to his son. "Maybe when he sees me, he would have compassion on me," he said. Early the next day, before the cock crows, they journeyed into the forest alongside some village chiefs and guides. They carried with them gifts and golds to present to Bayo. As they approached the hut, King Obalende bowed his head on the floor when he saw Bayo. pleading for forgiveness along with the elders who urged him to come home and take his rightful place. No, I belong here. This is my rightful place. I cannot be fired by a man who despised my mom and made me suffer in this forest. If not for Pa Akambi, I would also have been dead by now. My mother's illness could have been cured if she had received proper medical attention, but because we had no money, we lost her. All this because you rejected and drove her out of the village. Would you have come for me if you were not seeking an heir? Would you, O King Obalende? Bayo lamented, tears brimming down his face. Time would have still brought us together, my son. I'm sorry, you had to suffer because of me. My past life led to this, but I promise you, I'm a changed person now. You are not looking at the same man. I will be the best father you can imagine. The people of Owo need you now. Please, my son, please come home with us, King Obalende pleaded. Pa Akambi turned to Bayo, hinting for him to show mercy. After crying for a while, Bayo struggled to utter some words. I am not going alone. I am not living here without Pa Akambi. He has been the father I knew since I was born. I owe him my life. As you desire, my son, King Obalende replied. They hugged each other passionately. Pa Akambi and Bayo arranged their bags and together with the king's entourage, they left for Owo. The next day, the town crier went around the village, announcing to everyone to gather at the king's palace, for the king had found his son, and he desired the villagers to celebrate his homecoming. It was a wondrous celebration as everyone dined and wined. The food and drinks were more than enough to go round. A few years later, 2 of the king's wives gave birth to sons. Until King Obalende's demise, he was survived by 5 wives, 18 daughters, and 3 sons. His son Bayo was crowned the new king of Owo, and he ruled the people with love and wisdom. Pa Akambi stood beside him throughout his reign as his chief advisor. The moral lesson to be learned from this story is that actions have consequences. Prince Obalende's rejection of Tinuke's pregnancy led to him being cursed and denied the one thing he truly desired, a son to continue his legacy. It is important to take responsibility for our actions and be mindful of how they might impact others. It is never too late to make amends and seek forgiveness, but it is also important to understand that some actions cannot be undone. So it is imperative that we think before we act, considering the potential consequences of it. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's story. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you appreciate our content, please consider subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing our stories with others. Your support inspires us to create more engaging content. Thank you for your ongoing support. See you in our next story. Bye.